รายการ Thechair ขอขอบคุณ Suzuki Deal of the Year ดีลสุดพิเศษส่งท้ายปีมอบส่วนลดสูงสุด 84,000 บาทพร้อมผ่อนนานสูงสุด99เดือนหรือเลือกรับ Suzuki Worry Free โปรแกรมที่จะช่วยดูแลรถคุณนานถึง7ปีรับโปรโมชั่นสุดพิเศษได้แล้ววันนี้ถึง31ธันวาคม2567สอบถามรายละเอียดเพิ่มเติมได้ที่ www.suzuki.co.th หรือโชว์รูมรถยนต์ Suzuki ทั่วประเทศ
สวัสดีครับคุณผู้ชมครับวันนี้พิเศษจริงๆครับเราได้มีโอกาสต้อนรับนะครับเดอะแชร์ต้อนรับ2ตำนานนักเตะนะครับทั้งอาร์เซนอลและเชลซีซึ่งอยู่กับผมแล้วครับด้านซ้ายก็คือโซลแคมเบลและก็ไอเดอร์กูดจอห์นเซนนั่นเองนะครับ First of all we would like to warm welcome you both you guys to Thailand for me personally I'm delighted to have you on our program Siamsport YouTube channel have you ever been to Thailand before so
yes about 10 years ago
10 years ago
yeah,
with the
too
team
long. No, I came with Ben. You know, he's organised it. So it was a mixture of players, few Man United players, a couple of Liverpool players, and I was one of the Arsenal players. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
lovely.
about 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years now. And you either?
No, I came last February to play golf. So I stayed here for
Exhibition golf
9
here in
days,
Thailand.
just relaxing.
Where about it?
Hua Hin.
Oh, lovely
Black
accent.
Mountain.
Lovely accent.
Yeah, and then we had two days in Bangkok where we played golf also and just relaxed.
Lovely. And this question goes to Sol. What is your greatest match of all times in your Arsenal team? Just only Arsenal.
I think probably. I mean, there was good and bad in this goal.
Yes.
Champions League
Right.
final.
2006.
Yeah, against Barcelona was probably one of the most memorable goals, but lost the game.
Yeah.
But for me, it was an incredible goal.
But Arsenal played very, very well that game, I know. I think.
Yeah,
But you lost.
we missed too many chances. We had the chances to kill the game off,
A lot.
but it sometimes goes that way. You're not going to win every single final, and you're not going to take every single chance. But yeah, we had a fantastic game, down to 10 for at least 75 minutes.
Right.
But we just couldn't hold out, and we had the chances to kill the game off completely
Right.
At 1-0. But yeah, it's good and bad for me.
Yeah, so near, yes, so far.
Yeah.
And you, either your greatest match
My greatest match
in Chelsea.
in Chelsea. In the Premier League, it's very difficult to say. I only scored one hat-trick.
Yes,
it was
that's
against
your
Blackburn,
game.
so that was a good game for me. I'm sure we had a few games where he was kicking me, and I tried to push back. But any game, I'll tell you, any game during a season where we win the Premier League,
Right.
it doesn't have to be special for me. It's for the group. It's how you do it together.
Right.
So. My hat-trick against Blackburn was part of that season where we win the Premier League, so
Right.
it was a good game.
Yeah, right. And so you, either who is your most difficult to play against? I mean, defender. Yeah.
I've said it. It's not because
Really?
he's here. It's not because he's here. I've said it many times throughout the years. I think Sol was just look at he's strong.
He
He
was
was
strong.
fast. He
Yeah,
was.
fast.
He was always there, and we had a few games where we sort of, pushed each other. But Sol was definitely one of my toughest opponents.
So you did win him 1-on-1.
I did on a couple of
Yeah.
Was that in the Champions League.
Yeah. It's just yeah.
So I think it's
But
fairly evenly
but
balanced.
difficult,
But it was.
difficult to play against.
Yeah, I knew the day after I played against Arsenal and Sol Campbell that I really felt it.
And for you, Sol, the most difficult.
You know what? These guys.
It's him?
Yeah. I mean, these
Really?
guys. Yeah. These guys. For me, if you're not ready in the Premiership,
Right.
everyone's giving you a problem.
Yeah.
It's if you're not ready. If you're a defender,
split
forward,
second.
you have to be on it all the time. These guys at Chelsea, they were a tough outfit. They had really, really top players. Obviously, you had Man United guys as well. Ruud was difficult as well. Right. So for me, and then you got Emil Heskey with a different type of game, and then you got another side. You got say Duncan Ferguson. He brings a different type of physical, height-wise, throwback, old school, in-your-face elbows. So in the Premiership they were like top centre forwards, and they brought different attributes and different difficulties to kind of handle and answer. So you had to be everything. Then you had like Michael Owen.
Michael Owen, I got to ask you.
You got Robbie Fowler. They're nippy, quick guys. You let them have an inch.
The different type of striker.
Yeah, so you had to really adapt. You had to adapt. You had to move into different things. You couldn't be just one thing as a defender. You had to pass as well because they're on you. So all these centre forwards had a difficult time if I wasn't on it.
But you can deal with them all the time.
And also when I was at Tottenham, you got Thierry and Dennis. That was a fantastic, partnership as well. So everybody, in the Premiership, there's loads of like tough games. It's every team had like, a couple of centre forwards that it would trouble you if you weren't on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could all probably name. I could name a lot of defenders, but the ones that I had the most trouble with who were both quick and physically stronger than me. So I played against Rio Ferdinand. But I liked playing against him because I always knew 1 second he's going to relax and I would find the space. But with this guy, with Martin Keown, with Tony Adams, they were just on you, and it was I'm going to have a fight.
You say that you have to focus all the time.
All the time, and even more so in today's football.
And you notice that he relaxed, and then you.
Yes.
Right.
One split second, and you have to try and
I think you have
get an advantage.
I think if you were playing it now, I think a lot of people switch off.
Oh, yeah.
You think, defenders, there's a lot switch off. You have a field day.
Yeah. And I mean, football has changed and it's become more tactical. And defenders now have to be better in their passing game, better on the ball, better. But everything going forward, I think that how do you say the art of defending is going out of the game more and more.
Right.
I think with us, like for me, I played centre forward, midfield, right back, left back. So I played, except goalkeeper. I played everywhere. I played all. So I had to learn to pass and move and things like that. So when I went back into defence, I liked the passing, especially when I went to Arsenal. It was all about passing through the lines, and not perfect pitch, but a nice pitch, and you could be fantastic and move the ball. The quicker the game for me, the better on the floor, and so I loved that game. But then at the same time, when you had to defend one-on-one, you had to do it. But people can't do that now. Both. They pass, but they can't defend. As Arsenal, you had to do that because when you went into Europe, you had that game. So you can't just like lump it because you'd be chasing around. So you had to pass the ball. So I think people forget how much, there are a lot of players who could pass. There's some, obviously, back end of their career were kind of route one. But I felt as time went on in the mid-2000s, early 2000, mid-2000, you had to play, because if you didn't, you'd be running around all day, especially for international as well and European football in the Premiership. You had to do both. You had to be fit. As I said, some of the forwards were physical and others were nippy. And then when you got the ball, you had to pass because you don't want to give it back to them.
I see what your point. But look back in 2004. How great your team are. How great your team were, Arsenal. Unbeaten season.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like when the season was we nearly did it before. We got it to about 30 games, but I think for us the season was all perfect. Things had to go your way. Things have to go your way. You can have the perfect team, but certain things have to go your way, and they did in certain. I remember I got sent off for the first game against two yellows, two yellows, so I had to go off. But the team survived and we carried on, and that's what it's all about. Things have to fall into place. You've got to have a good team. You've got to work hard. You've got to be humble. You've got to be up for it every time. You're traveling as well, international, coming back, and then you've got to go for it again. So, and the amount of games you had to play, mentally you've got to be there. Physically you've got to be there.
Pressure.
Pressure. Everything's there, and it was just a perfect season. And you only look back now.
Right.
It's only when you look back, you say, bloody hell, how do you do that?
100 years. record.
Yeah, over 100 years. Yeah, over 100
history.
years. Yeah, and
In
back
the
then it
football.
was only 12 teams.
Yeah, I know.
And they were like back then they were drinking beer, smoking, half time and before kick-off, half time.
Yeah, you said the better side.
And
You
it wasn't
are the-
professional. Even back then it wasn't professional.
You mean you are the better invincible team of all time.
Yeah, it's
Agree?
good. Yeah.
Totally agree.
We have to. It's difficult to disagree because
Right.
To reach a milestone like that, and the team that Arsenal had, we suffered at Chelsea because we realised Arsenal are better than us, and then we sort of got closer and closer until was it season after your Invincibles that we win the Premier League
Right.
for the first time in Chelsea's 50 years.
50 years, right.
And that's the only season, right? It's becoming more and more balanced because Arsenal, for us, were always a little bit too good.
Right.
And then slowly but steadily we found, and we got closer to their level, even though their season is impeccable.
Right. If the Arsenal invincible team compete this season against Liverpool and Man City or Chelsea, whatever, you're going to win the league?
I think for us, people don't give the players of our time that they need that respect because, Eidur was saying, oh, you have to play and things like that. We played.
Oh yeah.
We played football.
Yeah.
Right.
We played high quality football.
Right.
We played on the ground.
high intensity as
we
well.
played, but we knew when to play long.
Right.
And they say, oh, you have to pass out the box. Yeah, we're good enough players. We would have learned how to do that very quickly.
Right.
We're from an era you have to be adaptable. And we're good players. And if we had to, we got that in the skill set. There's certain things you have to do to get through the game. But if that was added and said, oh, you have to play, we would have been adaptable. We're good players, I'm a street footballer, so I would be able to adapt very easily. I think sometimes some of our skill set wasn't even shown. When you're young, you're playing off in the streets and you're playing fantastic free football. We could have done that, and the main thing, we did both. I think people from our area, players, do not get enough respect of say, oh, it's really quick, but we were quick.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the stats.
Right.
How they have the stats, how quick someone is or whatever.
Right.
We were quick. You had to be. They're some of the fastest players.
Say that again?
Totally agree with him.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
If you have a player, for example, that can pass 50, 60 yards to Dennis Bergkamp, who gets the ball over his shoulder, controls it, or finds a teammate, or finishes with a goal, what's wrong with that?
Right.
It's perfect. Now it's a little bit too much, always the next pass, to shorten the game. But to mix it up, you have to have both skill sets.
Right.
And we see that with teams now with Liverpool, Chelsea in recent weeks, where they can go really quick in a counter-attack.
Right.
Because they have the pace, but they can also sit back, control the game a little bit more, and then change the direction and speed. So, I mean, football there's no one way that the game should be played. You should use whatever capabilities your team has and what skill sets you have.
Yeah, I see. I got your point. Look back at that time, Arsenal and Chelsea. Arsenal against Chelsea were the London Derby #1. Can I say that? You laugh at it. You laugh at it.
I think
That's right.
I think rivalry, quality-wise, yes.
Quality-wise, yeah.
Quality. I mean, you got West Ham, you had Fulham,
10 teams
Palace,
in
Palace,
London.
Tottenham.
Yeah. Right.
There's a lot of, I played when there was QPR in there, so there's a lot of derbies, But for me, it's at the time it was Arsenal versus Chelsea because we're so close. It's two big teams, a lot of rivalry. But at the end, it's quality football. People fighting to be the best, and that's what you want. Just to being purist at football. You want to win, but not like you kind of want to kill someone, but you want to perform and at that proper level to make yourself satisfied, make your fans satisfied, make your teammates be satisfied, and also be the honor of playing football at that level. Don't never kind of say, oh, so I'm playing football and don't think anything of it. It's a real honor.
Right.
Not many. How many people actually make it to the Premiership? How many players make it as a footballer? Girls and boys. You know, it's a small percent when you look at it statistically.
Let me talk about this season. Your team, Chelsea, in the hand of Enzo Maresca. They're doing good or?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's proving that it was the right decision for
Right.
Chelsea to hire him. I think finally now we're seeing a squad of players.
Your big squad.
A big squad, but it was trimmed down this summer. I think Maresca was very direct and ruthless with the players that he didn't want to have. And he said, okay, this is the squad of players that I'm going to work with. And if it doesn't work, then it's his responsibility.
Right.
Last season, last 2 seasons, it was a lot of players. It was like a big stew. It was like all the ingredients, but there was nothing coming of it. Now I think it's looking better. I think you look at the squad and you actually look at Chelsea, they look strong in every position.
Right.
And there's a lot of margin for improvement.
Before the season starting, the pundit gave a verdict that Chelsea going to be the 4th of the Premier League and go to Champions League next season. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think the way they've played in recent weeks, they've shown that they're more of a threat than people maybe expected before the season. And I think it's also there's a window there because I think Manchester City, Liverpool, possibly Arsenal, depending on this weekend, because the margin can be too big. But I think there's a place in 3rd and 4th up for grabs for, the rest, for Aston Villa, for Chelsea, for those 2 places are up for grabs.
And Man United, new coach, they're going. They're getting better.
Yeah, well, I think only time will tell.
Every time we tell.
And I think this season for Manchester United, they cannot be focusing on Champions League. They have to sort out the problems and find out where are the problems in our team. Is it the players? Is it the club? What are the problems? Take the problems up by the roots, throw them out the window, and start again.
And we talk about the problem in Arsenal. You're 5th in the league, in the table, and 7-point gap to Liverpool. And are you still confident you're gonna back on track?
I think Chelsea's game is a massive game for them.
Right.
Not only points wise, but mentality wise. If they lose or draw, but it's how you draw. It's like, it really does.
How you play,
I think they need to have a situation. I need a game that, wow, they're back. Even if it's a draw, but that was a really strong performance. That is what they need now. Because at the moment they're kind of a little bit playing well, losing games. It's kind of a bit sticky. It's a bit sticky for whatever reason.
Right.
Odegaard's back now. He's really good in the midfield. He'll still need like a couple of games, 2-3 games, maybe 4 games to get up to speed to what the level he wants, because he's a top player. But I feel there's a little bit of like someone's punched a nose and like it's bruised. Arsenal's a little bit bruised and a bit I've got this bruised nose. Get on with it now, and just start playing. I mean, that's the main thing now. It's like they're gonna take it off and say, look, we're good players. Get back to that. Yes, easily said and done, but I think collectively they need to mentally get back to that, and because they're top players, start playing. Because if they lose and how you lose and you start dropping, the gap does get big. And you're hoping and praying in like 10, 15 games, the top teams will drop points, and it doesn't always work out like that. So you got to be in the pack. Stay in the pack so you've got striking distance. You don't need to be at the top, but you need to be in striking distance.
Right. So the last one, in your personal point of view, who's going to win the league?
I have to say, I got a sneaky feeling, Liverpool just seem to be, just creeping over there, and like no one's saying, Liverpool, we're going to win it. Everyone's kind of, it's almost they're being the master kind of stroke, like they're up there and nobody's talking about them. And oh, it's too early, new manager can't get it. But, you know, they've got a momentum. I don't know when that, you know, they're winning games that they shouldn't be winning. They're getting the goals at the right moments. It's like, you know, if that continues, it's going to be hard. They might be able to, you know, do it and unlock it for whatever reason, get on a good run. But obviously Man City, once they get going, that's a formidable kind of train. And once that juggernaut gets going, you know, it's tough for anybody. Right. But, you know, Arsenal, I think, for me, I'd love Arsenal to do it. But if they don't get a good result and then another one and the gap gets big, you're just hoping and praying. You want it to be in your hands, right. Not, oh, let's hope they lose. You don't want that. You don't. In the last 10 games, you don't want that. You want to be in a position like, if we win, hey, we're in the driver's seat.
Right. And you?
I mean, there's similar feelings. It's difficult to make a point for any other team than Man City or Liverpool. I think they will be the two teams up there. If you, as a Chelsea or an Arsenal player, if you have the feeling that you're going to win the league, you're going to have to be above those two teams.
Right.
So, what makes the difference? As Sol said, you keep the gap as minimal as possible. But then you have to take advantage when one of those two teams or all the two teams lose points. Right. And at this moment, I don't see any team just strong enough to take that advantage.
Right. Okay, what am I saying? That both your guys still love in Thailand. You know, a lot of supporters here, Chelsea and Arsenal and Seoul and Eidur. Thank you very much to joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Right. และทั้งหมดนั่นก็คือการพูดคุยกับไอเดอร์กูจอห์นเซนนะครับและโซลแคมเบลเดอะแชร์ทางสยามสปอร์ต YouTube Channel นะครับกลับมาพบกันใหม่โอกาสหน้าครับ สวัสดีครับ